What's going on, guys? Shooter from the future here. I made a little oopsie in recording episode number 2, and unfortunately, the audio is very bugged out for Z's end. So you're gonna just end up having a combo episode. It's gonna be a little bit longer, just to kind of compensate for losing episode 2 entirely. So this is episode 2/3. You're very welcome. Not really. Anyways, I have like 4 hours of footage for episode 3 that we ended up filming, just kind of going on tangents and whatnot. So you're going to get a lot of content here. With all that being said, enjoy the episode and going back to the present tense conversation. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
All right, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's Z. We got your boy Shooter over here.
Yes, sir.
And we got our man Jethro coming in for episode 3.
Hey, we got the fresh guest. What's up?
Yeah.
Welcome to
We was planning on getting a guest for episode 2, but it didn't exactly happen in that orientation. But we got a guest for episode 3, and we do have a guest lined up for episode 4, and maybe 2 guests if Jethro wants to hop on with that. So we'll see what happens with that and how the scheduling works out.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Let's Get High and Talk About It, Jethro. How you doing?
Well, I am blessed this fine afternoon, and hopefully y'all who are tuning in are blessed as well. I'm definitely enjoying myself. How about y'all?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I could have had a better morning. I had a pipe bust in my bathroom, but it's all fixed now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sound like a water hose going off.
Yeah, that going.
Well,
you know what I mean?
In actuality, it was a water hose going off in my bathroom.
That's how it is sometimes, man.
Yeah. It's just
Anyways,
life.
for those who aren't familiar with Mr. Jethro over here, he's got his own podcast. You want to shout it out?
Let's hear it.
Well, for those who don't know, my name is Jethro Banks. Mainly first, I'm a pastor at my church, in the Faith Christian Fellowship Ministries. I'm sure in my link tree, if Shooter would drop it, has definitely all my informations. I also do music production. I do music performance. Play with a group, Bosco and the Storm. I'm their drummer, and I also play many other instruments. I play keys, not only drums, but also play bass as well. A little guitar,
He's learning
a little bit. You probably heard
7
me a little
weeks. And he's, out here banging like
yeah, I'm
Hendrix.
getting a little bit more versatile, but I wear many hats. I also do some video editing as well, audio production, engineering stuff, studio stuff. So I wear many hats, as you can hear.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Man of different trades.
Yes.
Holds many cards. Well, you know me. I'm just a local dumbass. Smokes a lot of pot, likes guns.
That's how
fucked
it
up lots of views. That's just how it be.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's what we talking about today? Anybody got anything?
So the first topic on the list today is the current state of these United States. Now, unfortunately, me and Z's already talked about this. And Jethro was a late joiner to the podcast because he don't.
Yeah, I'm a late joiner. What y'all start on first about the current state of the United States? What y'all touch on first?
So what's your thoughts on the current state of the United States, Jethro?
Oh man, I think it's quite riddled with the current administration. It's kind of sad that even the own Democratic Party really don't even want Joe Biden to even run again. And I think it's time for, in my opinion, the next runner-up from the Republican Party, hopefully, put things kind of back where it should be, because I know we're in a decline. The fact that even Joe Biden was like, oh, it only went up 2% about the inflation rate. Oh,
yes, sir.
But still, it's still high. Okay, we gotta get that lowered. All right,
for sure.
We're starting to see it in all different types of our budgets, people with food and everything. I'm telling you, when our current essentials is even running high, it's just like, come on, we gotta do something about it.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm seeing about
it. So in your area, for everybody that doesn't know, Jethro is in the New York area. Me and Z were in South Carolina. So the
Big
cost of living
Democrat
difference is pretty big between our different states.
Very drastic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Drastic.
And
that's why people are moving to the South.
Oh yeah,
I've just seen some more people leave. Except for my other family too.
Yeah.
Like, yep, we're going
which where y'all are at, as far
Mm,
as
Yeah, we're in
relation
Beacon,
to
New
New
York.
York City, you're not in New York City. You're like on the outskirts, kind of in the
Yeah,
country,
we're
right?
like I would say like an hour and 30 minutes from the city,
Yeah.
a
So,
little bit up
so,
south.
so your prices aren't like New York City drastic, but there is a big difference between
Oh
just as
yeah.
far as the states go. And you're even, so where you're at now, you're seeing drastic price changes too.
Oh yeah, man. Definitely. Shoot, even with the like our like different houses that's even in our area has been driving up. They're almost been like going up like 25, 30% in prices this year. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, they're doing a lot of
Oh yeah.
refinishing around here too.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah.
So I'm
See,
like, damn,
another
we really
thing
seeing it
is
up,
like
going up.
nobody is really expecting this the new real estate market to drop. Like
No.
like what it did back in the day, not too long ago. What was it,
Mm.
like 2010, something like that,
Yep.
2008.
It was eight.
Dude,
Oh
when
yeah,
it's
with the
Yep.
crash. Yeah.
yeah, dude, real estate dropped a lot.
And see,
I mean, these
it's
$400 houses ain't going to be worth but 120, 150
it's
at
crazy to
max.
notice like the similarities in the market too, and what happened with it before it dropped is kind of what we're seeing now, especially in the housing market. There was a lot of people, real estate, uh, that ended up losing out big time. And there's a lot of actual real estate agents that ended up homeless because of bad deals that happened during the market crash. You know, they had a good bit of their money invested in some of these land developments and houses and whatnot, and they ended up losing it all when the market crashed.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
And if not losing it all, losing a lot of money in the process.
yeah. There's a lot of money tied up in real estate right now.
Oh
Even
yeah,
with like construction experience, like I used to work for I worked directly for the boss, like his right hand man. I mean, he had told me a lot of stuff about his business, and he owns probably $3 million worth of property, like in upstate South Carolina.
I believe it.
And he said that when the stock market crashes, like he's going to go bankrupt. Like there's
For
no doubt
sure.
about it. He owns so much property that a lot of times he don't even know. Like he don't even know where his property is at. That he's just buying.
It's just in the
But
portfolio sitting there.
yeah, but he builds houses so fast, and he has so many crews working for him that he can probably get all that stuff settled and sold by the time that this stock market crash comes back around.
Oh yeah.
But when it does, man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a huge difference than what it was in 2008. People are more wild now. It seems like it's gonna be hectic in the
For
streets,
sure.
in the media.
And not only that, there's a good majority more of people I feel like are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
people there's gonna be people left without jobs that are living paycheck to paycheck that are gonna be in deep trouble because they
oh yeah.
won't have a way to make money.
I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's gonna be a depression, and the country's gonna bury itself more in debt trying to help the people if they decide to actually
Exactly.
help the people. I mean, it's gonna be a shit show in the next 10 years, more than likely.
For sure.
It's just a when and where and why.
Uh-huh. And some places are definitely going to be worse than others, and that's where I feel like you're going to see a lot more people doing what they're doing already and moving to these places where an economy crash is going to have a lower impact than where they were at previously.
Yeah. How do you think the economy would like if it collapsed in New York? How do you think your family and people around you would deal with it? Jethro, if you I was threatening that if you I didn't know if I'd mentioned that.
No, sorry. Second.
So if the economy collapsed, like how would your family and like the people around you and like your area, how do you think that would go? Like you think it would be a lot of bankrupt and depression kind of era stuff going on, or
Um, in terms of my family, um, in terms of our financial situation with the if the economy did crash, I know for me, I'd definitely be all right. I'm not really tied into the government in terms of really where my financial situation is, so I know I'll be right off, right? I'm definitely
yeah,
make sure y'all do at least this to have some cash offhand in the safe. Definitely,
oh
I'm sure
yeah,
shooter you already been doing that. because
I'm working on it.
they're really coming on the banks. The banks will be like, you know. So yeah,
Mhm.
definitely stacking silver, gold, mainly is the thing here that we're doing,
Oh, yeah.
and having
I
cash on
talked
hand.
about that in episode
Oh,
2.
yeah.
Stack up some silver.
Yeah,
And I mean, you can buy some gold too, but if it gets to the point to where you're gonna have to be using precious metals to go and buy groceries, you're gonna want silver. Because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of grocery stores are gonna sell you $1,000 worth of groceries with a 1 ounce gold coin. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I think silver. The last time I looked was at $22.
Yeah. No, I
so
think that.
that'd be something a lot easier for grocery stores to try and do.
Change. Yeah.
Exactly. So kind of already just working on that already, just ahead of time, just for a collapse if
Well,
that
that's
does.
good, and it's good to
Kinda,
to be like that anyways. Because in all honesty,
Exactly.
you never know when it might happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
Any
I feel like
major
it's
world,
almost inevitable.
yeah, yeah, it is. Especially with the state that we're in right now, and not only considering it could happen at any moment. Any major world event that could happen at any moment in time could affect globally.
Oh yeah. Like you seen how it did with Russia when the
Oh yeah,
the pipelines and all that. Like,
Yep.
I mean, all it takes is for people to freak out about gas again. I mean,
which Russia in and of themselves weren't really in the great economical kind of setting
oh yeah.
to begin with before all this started.
Russia's always been pretty poverty in their country.
Yeah,
Yep.
A lot of places that are like communist countries have very high poverty rates.
for sure. So, what kind of gas prices did you see, Jethro, at the height of
Shoot.
everything?
Regular starting at like 6.98.
Oh, oh my God!
Dang.
Going, buddy. The next pump.
I didn't even think. Well, at the height of it when they were tapered before it tapered down, but that's the highs I've seen for regular
Really?
gas. Yeah, for 87.
Dang,
So
dude.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
just
damn.
regular.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy.
So yeah, no, it definitely came down here, especially in my county and Beacon, and now we're tapering off to about like 3.98. That's good. I was like, huge man.
That's
Okay.
around kind of where we are right now. It's kind of crazy. I think we're at like 340, maybe
Yeah, I
320.
think right now about 340,
Yeah.
roughly.
I think the highest we've seen was a little over 4.
I don't know. In Greenville, like in town, like I've
Yeah.
seen probably like 480.
Yeah, it was
Almost
almost.
5.
If it wasn't at 5, it was like really close to 5 at the height
Yeah.
of it. I do remember
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was
that. Which diesel
pretty
was
rough.
over 6.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah.
diesel for you up there? Did you ever catch that?
I think it was around the 8 or 9s.
Dang.
How'd you pay that, man? Shoot.
That's insane, especially for
Premium,
those
obviously.
big truckers, those giant like 200-gallon fuel tanks.
Facts.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of money to fill up. It is a lot of money for me to fill up. I went from being able to fill up in that car $40 to fill up being like 55 to 60, depending on
Oh,
how
yeah.
empty it was.
Yeah, no, I
Which
guess.
now it's to where I can do about 45, I think, and fill up
Okay.
from almost near empty. So it's not too bad now, but it's definitely worse than it was last year.
Right.
I mean, hopefully it's going to go down to a stable point where it's almost, I mean, I'm not going to say that $3 is reasonable, but if it stays around $3, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can live with that.
Yeah. Which is
For
it's
sure.
a hot commodity, and it's a damn sure necessity in this day and age that you have to have
Oh, yeah.
gas for your vehicle.
For sure.
I mean,
Especially in areas that's like ours. I don't know if it would necessarily be considered as much of a commodity in New York City, like in the heart of the city, because a lot of people
somewhere that
walk
you can walk.
and ride
Yeah.
bikes and skateboards and whatnot.
Exactly.
But around where you're at, Jethro, I think it is more of a commodity than it would be in the city.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to go into town, it's a 20-minute drive. I don't know the mileage or whatever it might be, but I mean, you couldn't really walk anywhere to be like for work
You're gonna have to go
or
back to horse and buggy.
yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Now, granted, I mean, a lot of people would probably do that around here if it got that bad. I
Yeah,
know people that would definitely do it. Get
I
on a
wouldn't doubt
horse
it
and
for a
go down
bit.
the
Or go to
go down
mopeds.
the stakes. Dude, yeah. I mean, moped would be a good investment if you were trying to save gas.
Yeah, I mean they're not really they're pretty good with their fuel economy, and they don't cost that much to fill up. So
Yeah. Now, granted, I wouldn't want to get on a moped,
no,
but
me neither. I tried to ride one once. It wasn't great. It was just really weird to me, having come from riding like bicycles and stuff like that to having to put both of your front feet directly in front of you on a platform. I rode one of those mopeds. And
oh,
it was
okay.
really, really odd. I'm sure you could get used to it after a while, but even then,
Yeah.
like you're topping out at 30 miles an hour. You're not gonna get anywhere fast. That's for sure.
What's the another thing? What's the like in New York? Okay, if you have a DUI, are you able to still get a moped? Like I'm pretty sure in South Carolina, if you have a DUI or anything, like
Yes, you can get a
they
moped
made
if
it
you have a DUI in South
r-
Carolina.
really. I thought they had changed it at some point where you had to have a license still.
No, as long as it's under, as long as the motor on it is under a certain size and you don't have to get a license plate from the DMV, you can have a
Well,
moped.
you have to have a valid driver's license or a moped license to drive a moped.
It's something
So I
like
mean,
that. But if you have a DUI, you can still drive a moped. That's how you see all these crackheads running around with mopeds.
yeah,
So, um, Jethro, I'm not too familiar with the gun laws. Don't have Machiavelli in here. He'd be able to spit them out like they ain't nothing. But so have you heard about the new gun law that they're proposing, where all semi-automatic rifles you have to be at least 21 years old to
Yes.
buy?
Yeah, I know about that. That was starting. That was in past September, I think the 4th.
Yeah. So how do you
Uh-huh.
feel about that?
Shoot, man.
You're not much of a gun person yourself, are you? To start
Not
off.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's regarding the change. Uh, eh, I really think it really depends on like the person's mindset. Definitely when you go into own a firearm, but
That's
I
true.
know about the
Even with the
lawlessness
current,
that's
even
been
with
increasing.
yeah,
I understand. At least with New Yorkers, always been a struggle. I feel like they were always restricting the people, um, that actually are law-abiding citizens rather than the ones
uh-huh,
who aren't. Because if we already know the case, like if somebody wants to do malicious content with a weapon, can get a weapon. Let's
Mhm.
just face it.
exactly. If
You
they
don't.
if they feel the need to do that and have the means, they can find one.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah.
So I'm like, Democrats aren't really being, really lenient. They're hurting more the people that are law-abiding citizens, the ones that actually, are doing it by the book, rather than the
Exactly.
people who aren't. So, and it's like, I guess they're trying to strengthen up the strictness, for those, so they can't, get a weapon as fast. But and I'm telling you, they can get it if they want to get it, for
Exactly.
real.
Oh, I mean, I
That is the
see
truth.
personal experience. Like I have had people, offer to like sell me guns. Knowing that I'm like it's like say like 15, 16, something like that. I think I was. I mean, to buy a fucking Glock. It probably was hot. I mean, who cares? It was hot.
Yeah.
Dude was gonna give me a full magazine.
Be cool,
Let me, yeah, three, four
You
hundred bucks. That's
15,
what he
hey
wanted
man. Yeah,
for it.
yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, but at that point, like I can go and get like whatever kind of if I wanted to go shoot somebody, just if I wanted to go shoot somebody right now,
You could get
all
it.
I would have to
You can
do
make
is
it
if I
happen.
had 200 bucks cash, go get a small little pistol, like a 380, maybe a little baby 9 millimeter,
Hmm.
Exactly.
and I'd just go fucking cap somebody and toss that pistol like it was nothing.
Exactly.
Why would I waste the money? The money that you would spend, like guns aren't cheap. I mean,
Hmm.
there's
No,
there they have cheap
definitely
guns.
not.
They have cheap guns. If you want to get a little high point or something,
Yeah, you
there's
can get
definitely
one of those for
budget
like
guns.
a little under 200.
But you cannot walk out of a gun shop or a pawn shop, whatever it may be, without spending at least $400 for a pistol. That's just $400 base. Okay, then you got to add in all the taxes, and you got to pass the background check.
Right.
You know, I've witnessed people, get refused to be sold guns because they couldn't pass their background check, or they were suspicious and have had bought multiple guns within a few month, span.
Uh-huh.
The system is set up to where it works pretty much. I believe it works,
Me too.
but I mean, you can't expect like if you was to prevent me from going to be able to go and buy a handgun when I'm 21, okay, there's no reason for that. I don't have any charges on my records. I don't show any kind of violent or malicious intent with that's why I'm not getting it to be malicious or do anything crazy. So there's no reason that you wouldn't sell me anything. But if you did, that's kind of fucked up. Like,
that's true.
But you can't really prevent anybody from going and buying them, legally without all these precautions they have set place.
And there are those precautions, and people do get refused all the time because of that.
Yeah, they don't report how many times it happens, but I've seen it happen many times at like Academy or somewhere like a pawn shop. Like I've witnessed it.
Honestly, when we went and got your shotgun, I thought you might have was gonna get refused because they're like, sometimes it's instant and sometimes it's not, and sometimes it takes like 45 minutes. So I think we went over to Walmart or something, and that's when you bought your Xbox, and we went back over there, and they're like, yeah, it's good. So that's cool.
That was when you bought. That's when you wanted to go buy your pistol. We had to go and I bought my shotgun when I was with Justin, and it only took like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if they was
Mine
able
was
to pull
instant,
up,
which is
yours was
wild
pretty much
to me.
instant. Yeah, the guy even said something. He was like, "That's kind of unusual."
Hey man, don't be looking at me with them wide eyes now. Nah, but yeah, mine was instant. I went in there and he was like, you can get however much off it was if you sign up for the credit card or whatever. I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that. Yeah. Instantly got approved for like $700. That was well more than enough to buy the G3C that I got. Excuse me. But I ended up walking out of there not even paying a dime for the thing and got approved instantly. Right after my credit report came back, I got approved for the 700. They set me up for the application for the whatever the application number is for the background check. I did that, hit the button, it immediately got approved, and I walked out of there within 15 minutes.
See, but that's so they could refuse you, like refuse a sale, just because if you walked in and you just looked suspicious. Or,
I mean they reserve the right to be able to do that, and that's honestly that's a good thing because some people walking in there that look like they might do something, they very well might,
No, I mean I don't think it's right to judge somebody by their character or judge somebody by how they walk and talk and all that. But whether I think it's right or not, I'm still going to do it. It's natural instinct,
exactly.
Especially in a way where you're responsible for somebody, almost. If you sell them that gun and you think they might have gone out and shot somebody and you sold it to them anyways, that life's on your hands. Like you might not get in trouble for it. I don't know if there's any moral
question.
Yeah, but there's nothing from stopping somebody from if I could probably walk down the road and find somebody or go meet somebody somewhere somehow and be like, hey, I want to buy a handgun. You got anybody that's gonna sell one? Anybody wants to get rid of some, a pistol? $200, man, and nobody would ever know. It's not registered to me. It's
especially
not going to be
around here.
Yeah,
and that kind of segues into our it's like not necessarily the next topic, but we can go ahead and talk about it. Did you hear about the Raleigh, North Carolina shooting, Jethro?
I don't think I did.
It wasn't like widely covered, but Biden did make a statement on it. So this 15-year-old kid at around 5 p.m. on like a Saturday or something like that. It was on a weekend. He, as far as I know from what I read, don't know if it's fully true or not, at least to this extent, but he shot his older brother first. His older brother's 16. Shot him first, killed him, and then kind of went on a little spree. Ended up killing 5 people and injuring 2, I believe. One of the people he killed was actually a local police officer that was looking for them after everything unfolded because he did run. They found him on some local trail in the woods or something like that. And he did end up running. But from what I read, he used a shotgun. And one big question that I had about this was, where did he get the gun? Because he's 15. He can't legally go into a shop and buy it. And these new laws that they're trying to introduce, that doesn't do anything to prevent him from going and getting a shotgun from maybe inside of his house from his parents or whatever, or just going and buying one from somebody who's already bought it and passed a background check or whatever and sells it to
Yeah.
him. You know?
Even then, dude, I mean, there's so many weapons floating around that nobody has like been able to keep track of. Like, I mean, a lot of times you can, like, if you was to sell me your pistol right now, I could write down something that says, you know, you sold it to me, or you blah 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 blah, or I agree that, you know,
At least
I
in
bought
the
this
state
gun
of
for
South
blah blah
Carolina.
blah. Yeah, you could take it and take it to the police station just in case. It's like a backup. It's like if anything happens to me with that firearm, like if I shoot 6 people and you
And then
do
get
all this
caught with
shit,
it, yeah.
it's not
You
going to
can't
it's not going to go back on you.
Yeah.
But
You
I
can't-
know that,
You can do that, but I think that law does cover like the age limit thing.
yeah,
I think it's at least 18. You can buy secondhand if you are 18, I believe, in the state
Mhm.
of South Carolina. You can buy a pistol sidearm.
you can buy anything.
Yeah,
Anything
at that-
secondhand. Can't
yeah.
buy from licensed retailers or federally supported, like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you know, legally stuff.
Yeah. As long as it's secondhand, you can buy at the age of 18 here.
Yeah. See, like, if I like, I'm not a felon or anything. I don't have any charges to on my
Yeah,
record.
and that's
that
I think
prevent
that's
me.
also a part of the law too.
Yeah, but like, I don't want to. If I don't want to go through all the trouble of, or even pay as much money as, you know, somebody's asking for. If I know somebody's got a handgun that I want, that's going to be cheaper for me to get, and
Uh-huh.
it's not going to go through all these fucking bullshit hoops, I'm gonna do that. And who's to say that like not everybody you meet you're going to do a background check on or be like, yo, this guy's a
Exactly.
felon or something, you know?
You're not gonna go out of your way to pay. I don't even know how much it is, but
Yeah.
anybody, any private party can pay for a background check.
Mhm.
But I think it actually takes a lot longer too if you do it like yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to like if you do it yourself like the old timer way, you actually like physically send stuff into SLED in Columbia, South Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
And they'll send you it back via the mail, you know, and there's
Oh, yeah.
no telling how long that's take. But there is probably third-party websites that you can use that
There
may
definitely
even
I've
charge
used a
you
couple.
more, you know, than what it would cost just to go and directly do it, but it would take less time.
I paid like $30 to find my dad.
Exactly.
Like, it, I mean, it didn't really take too long. It didn't really give me a whole lot of information, really. But I got his current address and like
Give
phone
you
number and all the public information that's not really public.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of doing private transactions for selling your weapons, yeah, it's really strict here in New York. You know, because we
Yeah, I
have the
think
SAFE
I
Act.
think I've heard Mock like briefly speak on it, but I don't know it like in
Yeah, the
depth.
SAFE Act is because of that, and so they want you to go and have like a, you know, somebody needs to be there, like a federal firearms licensee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Needs to do like the background checks and stuff whenever you're trying to do it to like selling it between family members or somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, you know, me being like hard headed and, you know, Southern, you know, I guess I'd say, like, I'm very, you know, content on my Second Amendment. Any laws against it is an infringement on my Second Amendment, it's an infringement on my rights. The ATF is a joke, you know. I'm very strict on that. I'm very firm on how I believe, you know. But I don't think that there should be any kind of like, if I wanted to go sell this firearm to somebody that I thought that I believed that wasn't mentally insane and was going to do some stupid shit. If I wanted to go take this firearm to him and be like, yeah, $30 cash in hand, nobody knows,
Yeah.
I should be able to do that. I shouldn't have to have like a cop come out and, you know, monitor the transaction or nothing like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Which I
I'm-
feel like it's already like that in some circumstances. Like that definitely does happen You just don't know about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People aren't gonna go out and be like, "Yeah, I just sold this kid a gun." You know what
dude,
I
there's
mean?
so many unregistered firearms and firearm trades that
Oh, for
nobody
sure,
fucking knows about.
for sure.
There's firearms that people have that have been passed down and sold and been through so many hands that you can't count.
It's like those CS:GO skins, Jethro, like the big ticket
I know,
ones.
right?
They go through so many
Yeah.
hands so quick.
Facts. Facts. But they're kind of tied back to the shooting. I mean, in terms of the kid's sake, man, I'm guessing there was some trauma that deeply tried
Oh yeah,
him to
for
come
sure.
and
And
go
we
on a
were,
rampage. I don't
we
know
were,
what the parent situation was in that, but
man, that's a lot too to consider. And we were talking about this earlier before you joined up with us, how
mm,
it's a good, well, not how would I word this? We were talking about earlier how social media has a huge effect
Oh yeah,
on
too
on
much.
the youth
uh-huh.
for real. Hmm.
And we were even going into the extent of the way TikTok is and talking about how there's a lot of emotional teens on TikTok that are reaching out for help and stuff like that. And my
Mm.
point of view on that was, you know, there might be a specific grouping of people on TikTok that go out of their way to comment and reach out to these kids, and some of them that really do need that type of help, but others of them just want it for the attention, want it for the views and whatnot. And
Yeah.
that kind of brings a bad name to that whole area of mental health and whatnot. And
Oh
my
yeah.
personal view on it was, you need, if you really need the help and you're not in it for the attention or whatever, and it's you're trying to cry out for help, then find a friend. You know, especially like most of these kids that are like that are still in school. It's not that hard to find somebody that you can talk
There's
to and
there's
be
people
friends
that's
with.
meant to be talked to. There's people that you're supposed to go to.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. That
I
too.
mean,
There's people you
I
can talk to
understand.
and reach out to for that type of stuff. And even if you don't feel comfortable going to those people, it's not that difficult to make friends, especially when you're still in high school, because there's tons of kids in public high school.
Hmm.
Honestly, I mean, there's tons of adults that could actually, if you just sat down and was actually a human being, they would reciprocate that.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
They would touch base with you on like a personal level. Like, I've done it many times, dude. I struggled with depression, a long time, and I could never talk to the counselors or anything. There might have been one counselor I talked to that was actually pretty chill, realistic. Would give me
Uh huh.
the details and the shit. Tell me how it was really.
Yeah.
And teachers, a lot of counselors can't do that. They can't do that because of guidelines and policies
Yeah,
and
they
shit.
they
Or
feel they feel that they are strictly inclined to report anything they feel like they need to report right then and
yeah,
there at that moment. That
but I've
that
talked
whole
to.
confidentiality thing goes completely
There's no
out the
such thing
window.
as that. There's no such thing as
Exactly.
confidentiality.
Unless you
But
have
like,
like
there's
unless you have a one-on-one contract with a therapist, they are only allowed to talk to anybody else about what's going on with you or you yourself if they believe that you're going to harm yourself or that you're going to harm others or that you're going to harm that person that you're talking to in particular.
yeah.
That's the by law. That's the only way that
Oh yeah.
they can talk about it with anyone else,
See,
which
I talked
is
to
really a good thing.
I talked to a lot of teachers. There was one teacher I talked to. He was Mr. Smith is what his name was, and he was really cool. Always, just down to earth. Really
Yeah.
humble, and he would tell me how it was. Like he didn't like I told him one day, like I was really just having a bad day. Like I wanted to go
Was
home
this
and fucking eat a bullet, and he was like, it sucks. Life sucks, but you just got to push through it. Like I talked to him about what was going on, and he got down on like a real level, and told
yeah.
me how he felt and like how he's dealt with similar situations, and
Was
it's easy
this
to
in
talk to
high school
somebody
or
else.
while you were at the other school?
It's when I was at alternative school at
Oh, okay,
Whitlock.
okay. Because there's you might know who I'm talking about, the baseball coach,
Yeah,
Coach
yeah.
Smith. He's kind of
hmm
like that too. You know,
Dude, a
if
lot
you
of them at
ever,
Pickens was
huh?
a lot of people at Pickens. A lot of teachers was at Pickens
Oh
that
yeah,
was like you
for
could talk
sure.
to if you needed.
But he was really the type of person that wouldn't sugarcoat it for you. He would tell you like it was. And he was actually, funny enough, he was a customer of mine at the phone shop. He would come in there and just hang out. And
Really.
we just chill, yeah.
Wow.
He's really chill like that. But yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think
for sure. Like you can always find somebody to talk to about this type of stuff. You don't have to rely on social media, and it's not a good thing to rely on social media for that type of thing because you're always gonna run into people that are haters. You know what I mean? It's online. They're gonna say what they want to say
oh, yeah.
and not think twice about it because it's over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
See
another
that,
thing.
and
People need to be held accountable for that type of thing too.
you can't tell anymore. It's like it's trending to be depressed or to be like have
Exactly. They do
anxiety
it for the
or
views. They do it for a
like
lot of them do.
people want that kind of attention. You know,
It's a
So,
lifestyle, bro.
Exactly.
it really is. But people that have like serious issues like that or like actually struggle with depression and anxiety, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like spitting in their faces.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Like when I was at the psych ward, dude, like I had there was people there that was just, you know, making jokes like I hate people that say, you know, KMS or like I'm just gonna kill myself or like I hate that. Like it bothers me so fucking much. Like I'm not an offendable person. Like y'all don't get
Mhm.
offended very easily.
Yeah.
But for people to just, you know, be like, oh, I'm just gonna kill myself, like do it. You know, if you're gonna say you're gonna do it. Like I don't want you to
Exactly.
talk about it. Like if
Only
you
people
want,
that truly know what it feels like to be in that type of situation knows what it feels like to
yeah,
be in that type of situation. Those people that are just saying it to saying it don't really know what it feels like to go through that type of thing.
it's a spit in the face, man.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. But people, I think what we need more in this world is a lot of like people that don't sugarcoat. You know, stop. There's
Exactly.
too many snowflakes. There's too many sensitive people. Like I understand if you're sensitive, if you have a sensitive mindset, you know, or if you're just very naive. But the world ain't, you know, what it's made out to be. Like you
No.
can't rely on the world through Disney. You know, this world
That's a
is, you know,
fact.
it will eat you up and spit you out and fucking shit
Exactly.
on you.
And that's unfortunate for a lot of the youth that's coming up in the world because they don't have sort of like a real world experience to take an example from when they actually make it into the real world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They they grow up looking at life through sort of a magnifying glass of what YouTubers are doing and what people on TikTok and Instagram and I don't think a lot of the younger people use Facebook right now, but they're looking at life through this painted glass that is the internet and social media and these influencers,
Oh yeah.
and they're expecting to get out in the world and make it big and do it like these influencers, and then some of them do get depressed when they can't turn out to be that way, and
Oh,
it's unfortunate for them that they don't have that kind of experience, that they weren't put out into the world earlier and realize what they're up against and what they're going to have to go through to actually make something of themselves, you know? Because a lot
oh
of
yeah.
these kids, they spend most of their time looking at their phone and looking at, you know, their screens and whatnot. They don't have the experience. They haven't actually been out there and done things, you know?
I feel like if you don't go out and like experience what, you know, everyday life is like. I mean, I don't know about you or anybody else, but me personally, like I've gone out and like just had fucking, I mean, just looked around and see all these fucking people, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that are just, you know, assholes or, you know, had experience with
Exactly. And
people being just douchebags, you know,
that's the
and you have to
best way to
accept that.
get a eye and get a kind of like a grip on what the world is really going to be about.
Yeah. And you have these people that act like degenerates all through high school and, you know, school. And they get out in the real world and, you know,
They don't know what to do.
not everybody's gonna, you know, accept that. Like you're gonna have
Mhm.
to nut up or shut up.
Exactly. You get a job somewhere and they're not gonna, you know, treat you with this sort of kindness that you were treated with in school, and they're not gonna sugarcoat everything for you. They're gonna tell you how it is and tell you that if you don't do it, you're out of here. And it's as
Yeah,
simple as that, you know?
people expect too much kindness in the world,
That's true.
which
You're
it's
not
sad that
always
the
gonna
world's
get it.
not. You know,
Yeah.
it's sad and it sucks that, you know, the world's not very like kind anymore.
Exactly.
But it's reality. You have to face
It's
reality.
just the way it's going,
Trying to,
especially with the way that like hard drugs are on the streets and whatnot, and even
mm,
like younger kids, younger, not necessarily like really young kids, but like teenagers that are first getting into high school and stuff like that are getting exposed to this type of stuff, and it's kind of sad to see that once they get exposed to something like that, like really hard drugs, then that's it. That's the snapping point where they're going to end up like that probably
It's
through
so
the majority of the
mainstream.
way through their 20s.
It's so mainstream to do pills and
That's a big
get
problem
high.
too. And that goes back to the whole social media thing, because a lot of the major, well, not a lot of them, but a good amount of the major influencers out there struggled with addiction at some point and end up being very public and open about it. And they do try to spread a positive message about it. I will say that, especially
Yeah.
with like FaZe Rain. I don't know if either of y'all know about what FaZe Rain went through, but
I don't remember those.
he was actually addicted to codeine and Xanax really bad.
Oh yeah.
And he ended up having putting himself in a situation where he was pouring up every morning throughout the day, every night for days on end. And he said he was so like faded that he has no recollection what went on for about a year. He was just that faded every single day.
Dude, I've taken some Xanaxes before. You know, I've never really had an addiction to pills or anything, but like occasionally a blue moon, I did some dumb shit and was like, I'll take a half a Xanax.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't remember them days. I don't remember. I really
Exactly.
don't. Like, I was a
And-
fucking zombie.
And Rain himself actually ended up with a condition. I can't recall the exact condition right off the top of my head, but it's
Isn't that
basically,
why he's in a wheelchair?
yeah, he had
Really?
it developed some sort of like nerve paralysis in one of his legs, to where it was like, it's kind of like how people that are partially disabled, kind of like my dad, but like tenfold, right, times 10. He was experiencing these problems where sometimes it would feel like his leg is like literally sitting inside of a fire pit, is how he explained it.
Really?
He said sometimes it would feel like somebody was literally stabbing him with 1,000 knives in his legs, and it would be so unbearable, the pain would be. Now he's actually recently able to walk, but
Yeah.
I feel like the way that he did it and talked about it and everything, even though he tries to spread a positive message about it, it does say something to these kids, and it's like, it sounds like he had fun, huh? Kids being funny type of thing.
Oh yeah, no, dude.
And they're like, oh,
Like-
why don't I go try this type of thing? And it's not only FaZe Rain, and I'm not saying that he's trying to spread a message like that, but that's just how kids are going to take it, because that's just how they
Yeah.
are. You know what I mean?
See,
And-
for somebody in FaZe, FaZe is not as mainstream as it used to be back in the day.
No,
I don't think, at least, but
definitely not.
I know
Well-
that there's definitely still some young fan base there.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm not saying it's just from like him. It's also like other creators. But he was just the one that I could think of off the top of my head, because I saw some stuff this morning from him. But
Yeah.
anyways, I feel like that social media also has a big influence on that, and kids getting involved in stuff that they shouldn't really be getting involved with in the first place.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
I
without a
agree.
doubt.
And that in turn turns them into being this depressed person that genuinely needs help and can't get help. They can't reach out and get help the way they need it. You know what I mean? Even though there's people out there that they can talk to, and they just don't reach out.
I think a lot of that is just choice. Like they don't want to.
Exactly.
Like they would rather. A lot of times, I'm a douchebag. Honestly, I think just because I don't validate people's. You might feel some type of way if I see it on TikTok. You might be posting about, oh, you was molested and you were beat by your stepdad or some shit and blah blah
yeah,
blah blah
people
blah.
can say all that, but at the same time,
But
how
I don't know
can
if
you
it's
believe
true.
it? Exactly.
There's so many people that lie about that
That's-
just for shits and giggles. I guess I don't know,
they
but
wanna
I'm
get
not
that
going to
attention.
validate it. It's on TikTok.
Content creation, I feel like is like I said a minute ago, like content creation is something great in certain circumstances, but it's also something that can spread very unpositive, sad, and downright depressing kind of notions, and get groups of people surrounding them that are kind of like-minded, and some people that may actually truly need help and that actually went through this type of thing, when in all actuality the person that they're trying to connect with over the internet, might I add, are
Yeah.
Yeah,
people that never went through those experiences themselves and actually
Right.
have no idea what it really feels like.
that's really how it is.
And it's just very unfortunate. That's the way the the tides are turning out here. But I feel like there needs to be more moderation on the content that goes up on these platforms, not only for the creators, but there needs to be moderation for the people that are viewing these content creators as well.
Yeah. See, I don't just on how I believe and how my views are. There's way too much that just shouldn't be shown on TV or on TikTok, whatever it may be.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, it's debatable on if it's right or if it's wrong, you know. But that's like how I feel, you know, like a lot with like LGBTQ stuff or a lot of stuff like that. You know, it shouldn't be in schools at all. It shouldn't be in on TikTok.
mm-hmm.
Like I don't. I think that if you're bringing in like different genders and you know pronouns and stuff like that, like something that's like a neutral setting. A school should be a neutral setting for one.
Oh yeah.
But if you're
For
bringing that into
everybody.
school or you know TikTok, you know, you're kind of I'm not gonna say accepting it, but you know, yeah, I see it. Yeah, we could.
But
go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I totally understand that, man. I feel like there should be left like for
Yeah, let's get your
later
thoughts,
positions
Jethro,
in
since
there,
you
the
gotta
youth
leave here.
the youth life, you know, because they're really being promoted to younger and younger and younger kids.
I think
Oh, yeah.
I would say it's grooming. Honestly,
Yes, it's pretty much.
it's
It's grown, man. I'm
it's
like,
not right.
dang. These kids are just so innocent. Now they got to grow up with all this foolishness and messages
Oh, yeah,
early
for
on
sure.
too in their lives. I'm like, this. All right, they want to select that later in their lives. They sure can do that. But right
Exactly,
now,
and
that's
that's the
not
way I
really. Is
feel
that
about it.
really important for their cognitive
Exactly. They shouldn't
development though? Is
be
that
they
really
shouldn't
like,
be educated on everything like that, influenced in that way at such a young age. If they want to
They sh-
decide that later on in life, then all
yes?
power to them. You know what I
I think that
mean?
they should be taught to make unbiased opinions with
Mm-hmm.
themselves, be able to use their
Mm-hmm.
mind how it's supposed to be used. You know,
Mm-hmm.
be able to tell how you want to be as a person or how you want to do this and that. And I think the good morals should be taught,
For
Mm,
sure.
which
definitely.
is because there's not a lot of home life. You know, a lot of people don't have a stable home life, and their parents just don't teach them. You know,
Exactly.
or raise them.
They
You
let
know,
the phone teach them.
yeah.
Ha. And that's see,
That's
it really
yeah.
does
You
start in
felt
the
that,
home.
didn't
It
you,
really
Jethro?
does start in the home.
Yep. All right. Well, you can go ahead and dip. I think we're gonna continue on for a little bit, but it was a
Yeah,
pleasure having you on here, Jethro. Maybe
Of
we'll
absolutely,
get
course,
you
man.
back for
appreciate it.
episode 4 when
Need to come
Cameron
back.
joins
Yeah,
up.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All
All
righty,
right, no
brother.
problem. But y'all
All
have a
right,
blessed
brother.
rest of y'all
Till
podcast, man.
next
Thank you y'all
time.
for listening. Appreciate y'all. God bless.
Yes, sir. You too,
Yes,
brother.
sir. See ya. All right.
All right. What was we
So we was
about?
we was talking on the whole social media thing, but yeah, like y'all was saying, there needs to be. Well, I brought it up, but Jethro kind of
You kind of jumped on that.
well, y'all both kind of confirmed it pretty much. And there needs to be more moderation on this type of stuff. Parents need to take accountability. They don't need to be letting their kids learn through the phone. You know what I mean?
There needs to be more management in schools. Like I'm
Oh
not
yeah,
seeing it
that
as
for
much as
sure.
it is around here,
And
like
you
in
know
the
what?
South.
It's not necessarily as big of a deal as I don't think as kids maybe dress and carry themselves as such.
Yeah,
But I feel like it shouldn't be labeled on the walls in the school as support your gay rights or whatever. And you know what? If they want to have after school clubs for kids to feel like that they may be gay or LGBTQ or whatever, then
yeah.
that's all right, I guess. But I wouldn't be happy necessarily if they promoted it like everywhere inside the school, especially like they did in the later years when I was in my senior year. Like they were
They
really
did
really out there promoting it every chance they got, and it's kind of different for the seniors because they are like literally almost legally an adult. I was when I graduated, but some of them weren't. But you got to think, there's also kids that are coming in there that are what, like 13, 14.
Freshmen,
Yeah.
just out of middle school, pretty
Yeah,
simple.
they don't
innocent.
know jack about squat. They're coming in
Yeah.
there trying to learn how to start out in life and stuff like that. And that's another thing that I think schools kind of look over, especially when we were in school, is that
Mhm.
they didn't really teach you a lot of valuable life lessons that you would learn and at that
That
time
you would
period.
actually use. Yeah.
Exactly. They don't teach you valuable life lessons that you would need to learn at that stage in your life. Like most of the stuff that I learned about getting a job and making money and saving money and stuff like that, I
Mhm.
kind of did that on my own, like formed my own way of doing it and everything like that. And I took a personal finance class when I was in school.
Yeah.
And all we talked about was kind of like how to manage your bank account and stuff like that. We weren't introduced to credit. Okay?
Yeah, dude.
And some people consider credit as being a bad thing, and it can be a bad thing or a good thing, but the way I look at it is you're going to have to work like I'd say a minimum of 20 years even at a decent job to get enough money to pay for a house in cash. Like a decent everyday job that anybody can go and get, okay, with a high
Mhm.
school diploma. You'd have to work about 15 to 20 years in that job to have enough money to pay for a house in cash in today's housing market.
Yeah. It's
And it's a little ridiculous. And that's
That's
why
if you know how to
that's why
save.
financing and credit can be a good thing, because you can finance a house, a $200,000 house, which a $200,000 house isn't that crazy of a house, at least in today's market. It'll be a nice house, but if the market crashes, that $200,000 house is going to turn back to what it was about 10 years ago, which is probably $90,000 to $100,000 house.
Oh yeah. People see when I was at an alternative school, we had a. I took I took, fuck. I took personal finance when I was there. I took it for I took it 3 years. Okay, and nobody really was in the class. A lot of people didn't care. Like,
Exactly.
and I mean, they have that available to you as a skill. I mean, to learn.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, the school system that I was in, or the school that I was at, had a lot of people that just didn't care and are never going to grow up to be anybody
And
that
that's the way a lot of the
can do
kids were
something
that were
like
in my
that. But
class too. I was actually the only senior in my class, and it was because I had to have the specific credit that class would give me. It was called a Kate credit. I had to have that in order to graduate because I failed Spanish.
yeah,
But
see, I took that class, and I mean, the teacher I had luckily was he didn't go by the book. He didn't go by what
what
South
the
Carolina was
school,
supposed to teach you.
yeah,
He showed me the real shit. He told me, and he gave it his point of view though. He gave it in like his idea was the cash flow everything. Save your money, limit yourself on what you spend,
for sure.
and save up for whatever you might need.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like, have these savings accounts and backups, ready for like a cushion in case something happens, like life
exactly.
happens. You need 3 months off of work, or you get fired, or you quit your job. 3 months off of work, you should have your money set to where you have all your expenses paid.
That's
Blah
the way
blah
I
blah
got it.
blah. And I mean, that was a really good way to teach, even though it wasn't by South Carolina's
Yeah,
education agreement or whatever it may be.
and we weren't taught that in
It
my
was
class.
still
Funny
yeah.
enough.
See, he taught us like all the wrongs and credit, like how if you're unresponsible,
It can go
and
upside down real quick.
he showed us his actual finances and his personal. He didn't show us like the actual like information or whatever, but he showed us like how he was like
An outline of
how
it.
much he was in debt, like
Yeah,
how much him and his wife was in debt, and like just because they weren't
responsible with it.
taught, they weren't
Yeah,
nobody taught them
and
except for
see
I mean they taught them simple stuff or
what what we were taught in the class that I took, our teacher basically all she did was show us Dave Ramsey videos. Do you know who Dave Ramsey is?
Dude, that's what. Yeah, Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's a fucking genius.
Yeah, he's gotten himself a good name. But here's the thing. He is totally and completely utterly anti-credit,
Yeah, that's the thing.
which
You
is
you
I
have
think
to.
how he's successful in the way that he is. But that only gets you so far because when
How old is he though? Look at that.
he's he,
He's how old,
he's
and he
like
went through
60
all
or
this.
70. Yeah. He went through a lot to get to where he is to gain the knowledge that where he's at. And I feel like a
Yeah,
lot of the things that he speaks is nothing but the truth. But one thing that I do slightly disagree with because not everybody can go from bankrupt to hosting talk shows and making hundreds of thousands of dollars on each show. You know what I mean? Your daily average person is, in my opinion, quite honestly, probably going to need the help of being able to finance their house. Because, like I
mhm,
said, they would have to work, maybe renting a place or staying with their parents for 15 to 20 years before they're able to afford buying a house in cash or
yeah.
buying a car in cash or buying, like an RV if they wanted to live in an RV, maybe not 15 to
Oh
20
yeah.
years for that type of thing. But to
So
buy a
you.
decent to buy a decent house, they're going to be working for a while, and that's okay if you want to do it that route. But
Mhm,
if you want to get out there, live your life, do what you want, and be happy with it. You know what I mean? Not be
yeah.
stuck in a situation that you don't want to be in for, a good chunk of your life because that is ultimately time that you're not going to get back.
And to be able to, deal with like shit that life throws at you. Okay, like
Oh yeah.
life is gonna throw bricks at you, dude.
Oh yeah,
It's
for
gonna
sure.
hit,
You got to
knock you
have a little
down.
bit of cushion,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
you need to have some kind of
See, we weren't taught that in my. I had to go out, which I mean, it wasn't necessarily by failure that I kind of figured this out, but it
mhm,
was just by watching the way that my mom and dad did,
yeah.
with everything that they did. Like my dad, he worked self-employed for the past 20 years, and because
Mhm.
of that, now that he's injured and disabled, he can't get a social security check. He can't draw unemployment or anything like that
Oh yeah.
because there is no previous employment history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he kind of shot himself in the foot to that extent. But at the same time, being self employed, he was able to have $75,000 in the safe ready to drop on the shop. With that
Oh
being
yeah.
said, when he dropped all that money, that was all he had. And he
Mhm.
got injured right after that, which was very unfortunate. He wasn't able to work after that, which is still
Yeah.
why the shop's like pretty much, I mean, it's like halfway there, maybe even a quarter, I would say.
It still looks really really good
I
though.
mean, it's
It's
good for
still
what it is, but we still got to get the siding on it and stuff like that. It's majority of the way it's still unfinished and it needs
still being
more
worked
work.
on though.
Yeah, it's still in the
Yeah.
process of being built, but had he have not gotten hurt unexpectedly, it probably would have been done by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just stuff like that that you have to account for, and in all honesty, you you might think going off the books to begin with is a good idea. You get to keep all the money. You don't have to pay Uncle Sam or whatever you want to think about that. But at the end of the day, if something happens to you, you get hurt, you get disabled, you're screwing yourself over at that
Mhm.
point. You can't draw any sort of disability or unemployment.
Unless you have that cushion, then like you're gonna be screwed.
Exactly. Unless you have that extra money put up where you can kind of help yourself survive for that short period of time and you can find something while disabled you can still easily do and not end up hurting yourself even further.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, in high school, at least in my experience, we weren't taught anything that could actually help us in the real world, at least for the most part. In any of the core curriculum classes, there was basically nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh
Past
yeah.
high school, you can maybe get into like a tech school that'll teach you how to do whatever field that you want to work in.
Mhm.
stuff like that. You know, you can
Teach you a
learn that type
trade.
of thing. Yeah, you can learn a trade in a technical college, but they don't teach you any of that in high school. They're not going to teach you how to weld in high school. And it's very unfortunate. Our school actually didn't have the automotive class. I know some public high schools still have the automotive classes out there, but ours didn't. And I feel like that's kind of going to be the way that it ends up going, is that a lot of these extracurriculars that actually teach you things that you can use in the real world are going to go away. And that sucks for the kids because, you know, those are lessons in life that you can learn and prepare yourself.
Mhm. You gotta be able to fucking. I don't know. You gotta be able to teach something that needs to be taught that not everybody's gonna know. Like
For
a lot,
sure.
a lot of people don't have stable homes, or people that are parents that are actually gonna sit them down and show them,
Exactly.
how to be an actual adult. Like,
A lot of parents don't even have the time because they
yeah, because
themselves are
they have to work.
exactly. They're trying to do what they can with what they have, and they don't have the time to sit down for hours at a time with their kid and be like, "Hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you don't need to do."
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate because that's just the way that life in the United States is turning out to be. You know,
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
aren't getting paid enough to where they can have time, and that's another thing, that people are being scheduled for so long hours and so long work days that they don't have time to spend the time that they need with their kids and teach them what they need to
Yeah.
be taught and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a pretty fucked situation. The whole.
They're not being paid enough, you know, to
Yeah.
to be able to justify taking out that time to, you know, spend with their kids or spend doing
Mhm.
whatever they want to do because they literally wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to live.
Or to be able to, to have a decent paying job and to, fend for your family. You have to
Exactly.
work different shifts or
Hmm.
multiple shifts. You
For
can't
sure.
just drop a dime and be like, hey, we need to talk about, what you're going to do after high school. And I'm going to tell you how life really is.
Exactly.
Like, but you get thrown to the wolves like straight after high school, or
Y-
whenever you try and join the workforce. Actually, I mean, like,
even certain jobs are like that, like the way it was with us at Pizza Hut.
mhm.
You know, they gave us very, very bare minimum training and just threw us out there to do whatever.
And people expect you to know what you're supposed to
Uh
do
huh.
and like how to do this shit, but
When you weren't even taught correctly in the first place, and then you have to go
or just
back
weren't told at all.
after you learn all this stuff. You have to go back, and when you learn it correctly, you're the one that ends up doing everything behind everybody else and correcting all the mistakes and making sure everything's right. At least that's the
Yep.
way it was in my experience.
Yeah, it was. It's a lot of bullshit.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
On a good note, I just got a interview for Freddy's,
What's Freddy's?
that little frozen custard and steak sandwich place near in Eastland.
Oh, okay. I heard that, guys. Yeah, I hear moving up in the world.
Yeah, like next week or like let me see when the interview actually is. It is Freddy's Dawsonville at 3. Wait, what? I think it's the wrong one. I
Oh,
don't know.
dude.
I wasn't really interested. I was just gonna go hear him out
That's true. That's facts.
for it.
Always gotta hear
But
him out. See what's good.
yeah. But no, I think I'm probably gonna go to through Providence Staffing and go to work at a manufacturing place in Liberty.
I heard that.
It's not too far,
Yeah.
and
Those
be
aren't.
good hours, good wages.
Yeah. Manufacturing jobs can be either the worst thing ever or the best thing ever. Just
Yeah,
depends on how much you're getting paid and how many hours they want you to work.
yeah. I'm just trying to make sure they're not gonna screw me over like the like Philip Staffing, dude. Philip Staffing kind of just lied, just wanted me to get in the door. That's all they
Yeah.
wanted. They just wanted somebody because they can only get paid either way from like hiring me.
That's what happened
Staffing
with me too.
So
They don't care what happens to you. Most staffing companies do not care what happens to you after you leave that staffing company. Once you get hired on, they get paid, and that's it.
they have a turnaround rate like where if I forgot what it was. It was something to do with like staffing companies where if you even if you don't if you don't stay with the company or
Yeah,
even finish out your temp service or whatever or your training period for the company, the staffing company still gets paid.
yeah,
Like they just want you to get in the door, test you out. If you don't stay, you don't stay. But
that's
they will
facts.
lie to you to try and get you in that door,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and I don't like being lied to, especially for a company that I'm not going to devote hours to
Exactly.
at work and shit.
You're about to spend your time that isn't necessarily expendable like they want it to be.
Yeah, I could
That's
go work anywhere if I
exactly.
decided to work with you, and granted, whatever somebody might say, I feel like I'm a pretty good worker. I'm a hard worker.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
very competent. Like if I'm gonna give you my skills and my time, I want to be paid right, and I want to be treated with respect and not lied to, or try to be manipulated in
for
any kind
sure,
of way.
for sure. And I think that's, in my opinion, just the way that currency and everything like that, and ownership over certain items and all that, I feel like is something that the world really takes for granted, because everybody has limited time, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 50 years in the future.
Oh
Everybody
yeah,
has limited time, and that's a big thing I think is taken for granted, is the fact that they think that your time is worth a certain amount an hour. Like like
yeah.
like you have unlimited amounts of it in the first place. I feel like
Mhm.
that's kind of a messed up mentality idea, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's gonna be like that for the foreseeable future. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think for see, like for like hours, like if it's labor or something like that, which most places is labor. Like if you
Oh yeah,
per hour, I could understand like pay rate per hour,
yeah. Depending on what you're doing.
but even if you get an actual salary based and there's no hourly, if there's no like there's nothing you have to keep track of like for an hour.
Yeah,
Like my mom, she works salary now, so she could be working 4 hours a day. She could be working all day, and the
yeah.
next day working weekends. She's not she's not hourly, so she doesn't have a required like an hours to get a full check or whatever. She don't have to work 40 hours a week. She might have to work more, or she might have to work less. But
Oh yeah.
to be able to manage, what to pay somebody and how much they need to get paid per hour they work. I mean, I think the hourly wage like that's okay, but
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't expect somebody to work for 50 hours a week, $12 an hour,
Yeah, exactly.
and them to be happy about it. It's been depending on what they do.
That's a lot of time for them to put in, to take away from their family and whatever else
They're
they might
shit
have a
they got to
passion
do.
for in life.
It's not even the passion either. I mean, it's whatever you might have to do. Like you might have shit to do when you get home. Like you're
Exactly.
not gonna have time or the motivation to do it.
And that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, the earlier recording, where during the pandemic, a lot of people were using those stimulus checks that they didn't even need in the first place to go back and do things that they needed to get done at home. Like home improvement stuff to keep up their houses and their property and whatnot. They spent that money on keeping up their property and making sure their house is actually going to function as a house. You know what I mean?
I know we did. I know we spent like the time that we were actually in quarantine, however long that was, maybe a couple of weeks, a month, I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I know we did a lot of stuff around the house, and like we both, had a lot of shit to do around the house that we just hadn't been able to get to because we've been working or
Yeah.
just doing other things that we couldn't do.
I feel like
So we have
a
to.
lot of employers take the time for granted. People
Oh yeah,
people have things to do that is outside of work, and these companies think that they hired you so you owe them everything in your life, and that's just not the case, especially when you're being paid hourly.
yeah. Like employers don't understand, that maybe they do understand. Maybe I don't see how you couldn't understand or be empathetic towards the
Oh,
situation.
oh,
Like
I'm
if
very
something
sure they know it, and they're just gonna take it from as much as they can get out of it, with paying as little as they can to maximize their profits.
See, what really pissed me off is like it's a good example is Yokohama. The first so when I was there, they said that I didn't know that you had to work weekends. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
All right. So they said you had to work weekends. You had to work Saturday and possibly Sunday. Well, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't really care for that just because I'm not gonna have any time to spend with my girlfriend or
yeah.
do anything else I need to do besides the day that
Besides
I might
going and
be off.
back and forth to work and working.
Yeah. But so they said that the first 2 weeks the first 2 weekends that you're hired, you don't have to work. It's optional. I got his name was Woody. Okay, he was the supervisor for the area that I was in, and he was trying to like strong arm me or like convince me that like I needed to work. He's like, because I told him I was like, I'm going to let you know. See, they told me that I didn't have to work, and I knew
Yeah,
that, and everybody else knew that and told me that. Well, they're supposed to go around with a schedule and be like, okay, you need to sign on when you're going to work this weekend or if you're going to work. Well, he didn't even bother asking me. He just assumed I was going to work.
yeah.
And I told him, I was like, no, I can't work. I have something planned. I don't remember what it was, but it's something with, my girlfriend and, I had family events or whatever it might be. Like I
I
had
think
something
it was when
planned.
you were going to that wedding.
No, I was going to the wedding when I was at the CBD place. It
Okay,
was,
okay,
I think it was like a cookout, like a low country bull is what it was, I think.
okay.
And I'm like, I've already made plans for this for like 2 months. And if it's not optional that I need to work, I'm not going to work. It's not if it's optional that I don't have to work, I'm not going to. It's
Well,
something I've already had
even
planned.
even then, either way, I don't. That's kind of like the way I was with some of the times at Pizza Hut, like when we were going out to Washington to tow that camper. I told John, I was like, hey, you know, whether or not you give me this time off, I'm going
I'm taking it. Yeah,
because I can make more going on this trip than I make working here in a month. So
yeah.
I'm going, buddy. I mean, I can make more in 5 days than I make here in a month. I'm definitely going, and you can fire me for it or whatever. That's just how it's gonna be.
Like I shouldn't have to give you like if I tell you like legitimately tell you there's something going on, like I have to have time off, like you need to be able to give it to me.
Should be able to respect that.
Yeah, you have to be able to respect it. I understand that it's putting you in a position where you're not going to have that shift covered or something. But like, see, like when my nana died, Sam's gave my mom so much shit because of her going to the funeral and sitting with my nana on her deathbed for a
Yeah, that's
week.
BS.
Like that's bullshit, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and she knew the managers personally. She opened that store and worked there for years,
No, I
and
know.
she
She
knew
was
everybody
working there for the
personally.
longest time, man.
Yeah. I mean, she put blood, sweat, and tears into that place. Worked her ass off. She does that everywhere. That's one of her biggest problems. Is she works too hard for people that don't work hard for her. Or that,
Exactly.
that don't give
That's
two
just my
shits
mom
about
was the
her.
same way, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, I get that, and it's a good. She's got a really good work ethic, really
Yeah,
good. But at what cost?
exactly.
I mean, if so, I wish I would have heard about that. She didn't tell me until like after the fact
Yeah,
of why she actually left Sam's, and I would have beat the shit out of somebody for that. That's
yeah,
so
that,
disrespectful and just wrong. I mean, they were
yeah.
at the funeral too. I remember going and seeing them at the funeral, and then my mom told me that they was trying to get her to come back to work the next day, like after the funeral.
Like,
Like
man, that's
that's fucked up.
yeah, that ain't even right
It's
whatsoever.
not.
Any
It's not
kind of way you
morally
look at
right.
it, that's not even right.
There's no way to actually defend that. Why could you do that to somebody, especially to somebody that you know, just because you needed
Yeah,
somebody to cover the shift that wasn't or cover something that wasn't even their
yeah.
responsibility.
And even then, even if it was somebody that they didn't know, if it was just
Yeah.
some regular, just like a cashier or something, that hasn't been there
Mhm.
that long, you should still be able to respect something like that.
If I was to go, if say I was working at McDonald's and I'm a cashier at McDonald's and like my grandpa died or some shit,
Yeah,
okay, like it's something that I'm almost obligated to deal with. Like I have to go deal with a funeral or
yeah,
grief or whatever it may be. like you should be able to. You should have to respect that. That's not something that should be like if you used to ask me like, hey, you still come into work, you gonna work this day,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you can finish your shift or whatever. Like that's so just fucked up.
Yeah.
Mm.
And what's really unfortunate is that there are people out there that actually hold their jobs to a higher standard than they do, say, their family or
Yeah.
whatever else that may be important in their life. They hold their job to a higher standard, which it may be these higher paying jobs that do somewhat matter. But even then, if it was me, man, there's nothing else that is gonna hold a higher place than if like you were to need help or somebody
Yeah.
in my family would need help. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing else that's gonna hold a higher place than that. And that's ultimately like jobs are expendable. You can go and get another job at any point in
Exactly.
time. You know what I mean? And it's sad to see that there's people out there that think that they have
The
to
world
have that
revolves
job
around
no
the
matter
job.
what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no way out of it, and they fail to realize that there really is. I mean, if you
9 times out of 10, you can get a better paying job. It's easier work
oh yeah, for sure,
and will
without a
not
doubt,
give you as much hassle.
without a doubt, and maybe not even that, but like there's just so many jobs out there. If you really need to take the time and go and do something that's not your job. You know, if something happens within your family and you need to take time off to deal with that and your job is giving you hell about it, then that job just simply isn't right for you and you're able to go and find another job. And especially if you have a good work ethic, it doesn't matter either way. You can go and get another job and work hard at that job and still make good money. You know what I mean? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's a paycheck and it pays the bills. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Oh yeah.
If you're put in a situation where you have to choose, and some people do choose the job over the other situation, it's just
Mhm.
not great, and that's really bad for the employers, whether or not they care, which most of them probably don't in the first place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's really sad.
I mean, another point of looking at, like another way to look at it, like I mean, you can't expect somebody to actually, really care. I mean, you can't, as an employer,
Oh yeah,
like
for sure.
you can't devote, all your feel like
Yeah.
you
And
can't try and
for
cater to them
employers,
too much.
it's about maximizing the profitability and keeping the business afloat. And I can understand that to an extent, but at the
Yeah.
same time, if you're a good enough employer, you should have some sort of backup plan. You know, because there's gonna be a point in time where maybe your most valuable employee has to take time off. You have
Oh
to
yeah.
have some sort of system in place. I feel like personally that any good company is going to have a system in place to where somebody else will be able to cover for another person if they have to take that time off.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter what, you have to have some sort of redundancy built in place just in case, because anything can happen at any point in time.
Yeah. And a lot of employers will just shit on that employee after they have to take that kind of leave or whatever,
Exactly.
to deal with whatever kind of life
And that's
circumstances they
completely
have.
unnecessary too.
Yeah. I mean, if you even wanted to go the extra mile, you could call around these places and be like, "Hey, put in an application. Any chance we could set up an interview? Or something like
Exactly.
that." You call and be like, "Hey, you have any positions open? I'll put in an interview or put in an application for an interview."
That's a fact.
It's not hard.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just people are unmotivated or don't really care to work.
Oh, I know, man. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're gonna end it off for episode 3. I got about 4 hours of footage.
Yeah, man. Phew.
It's gonna be cut down probably to about an hour and 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
We got most of the topics that weren't able to discuss with Jethro already covered, anyways. So we're pretty set in that department. So yeah, that's it for episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yeah, man. So
Sure.
If y'all enjoyed or have any topic ideas, drop them down in the comments below. Next episode, we're going to have at least one guest on, aside from us two.
Yeah.
Jethro might be joining us back for episode 4 as well. So,
Yeah, man.
maybe we'll get some things, in the works and all that good stuff. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll be getting there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I said, if you guys have topic suggestions, drop them down in the comments, and we'll try to cover them in the next episode. With that being said, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
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 Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.